It often starts quietly. You forget a word mid-sentence, misplace your keys, or walk into a room and can't remember why. You tell yourself it's just age, but what if it's not? What if every morning the foods on your plate are slowly changing the way your brain works, silently dulling your memory, slowing your focus, and even raising your risk of stroke? That's what happened to Linda, a 71-year-old retired teacher. She never smoked, never drank, and took her walks every evening. But over the years, she began to notice small changes. Her thoughts felt foggy, her recall slower. When her doctor ran a few simple tests, her brain showed signs of inflammation and reduced blood flow, a red flag for cognitive decline and stroke risk. And the cause wasn't genetics or stress. It was her daily diet, the same breakfast and snacks she thought were healthy. The truth is, many of the foods marketed as good for you are quietly harming older brains. They create tiny bursts of inflammation in your blood vessels, raise sugar and cholesterol in the brain, and starve your neurons of oxygen, the perfect recipe for stroke and memory loss over time. You won't feel it happening. There's no pain, no warning, no symptom. Until one day, a word slips, a thought vanishes, or your balance wavers. That's why today's video is so important. Because if you're over 60, your brain depends on circulation, nutrition, and balance, and the wrong foods can break that balance faster than you think. In this video, we'll uncover 10 common foods that destroy brain health and raise stroke risk, from the healthy cereals that spike your blood sugar, to the cooking oils that inflame your arteries, to the hidden ingredients that quietly rob your brain of oxygen. And we'll talk about what to eat instead. Simple swaps that clear your arteries, feed your neurons, and help your memory stay sharp. Because protecting your brain isn't about luck. It's about knowledge and the choices you make, one meal at a time. So stay with me until the end. You might realize the biggest threat to your memory has been sitting on your plate all along. Number 1. Flavored Greek yogurt, the hidden sugar trap that ages your brain faster. Most people think Greek yogurt is one of the healthiest foods you can eat. It's high in protein, good for digestion, and often labeled as heart healthy. But here's the hidden truth. When you buy the flavored versions, you're not really eating yogurt anymore. You're eating dessert. Take a closer look at the label. One small cup of a strawberry Greek yogurt can contain 18 to 25 grams of sugar. That's about 6 teaspoons, more than what the American Heart Association recommends for an entire day. And when that sugar rush hits your bloodstream, your brain pays the price. Sugar doesn't just affect your waistline. It changes how your brain ages. When blood sugar spikes, it triggers a process called glycation, where sugar molecules stick to proteins and fats in your body. Over time, these sticky compounds damage your blood vessels, especially the tiny ones in your brain. The result? Reduced oxygen flow, inflammation, and slower communication between your neurons, the exact combination that raises the risk of stroke and memory decline. I once spoke with a 69-year-old woman named Carol, who started every morning with a healthy cup of blueberry Greek yogurt and granola. She believed it was the perfect breakfast, light, convenient, full of calcium. But after years of brain fog and fatigue, her doctor finally checked her fasting blood sugar. It was consistently high. When she switched to plain Greek yogurt and added fresh berries instead of flavored ones, her energy improved, her thinking cleared, and her blood sugar dropped within weeks. Here's what makes the difference. It's not yogurt that's the problem. It's the added sugars and artificial flavors that come with it. These ingredients feed inflammation, fuel insulin resistance, and starve your brain of nutrients it desperately needs. Some brands even add artificial sweeteners like sucralose or aspartame, which disrupt gut bacteria and increase oxidative stress in the brain. But there's a simple, natural fix. Choose plain, unsweetened Greek yogurt, the real kind. Add your own sweetness with a handful of fresh blueberries or raspberries, which are rich in antioxidants that protect brain cells. You can also stir in a teaspoon of ground flaxseed or cinnamon for flavor and blood sugar control. And if you like your yogurt smooth and creamy, go for full-fat versions, not low-fat. Healthy fats help stabilize blood sugar, support brain cell membranes, and keep you full longer. Remember this: your brain runs on steady energy, not sugar highs and crashes. Every time you replace a flavored yogurt with a natural one, you're not just cutting sugar, you're protecting your memory, your focus, and your future self. Because the food that keeps you young isn't always the one that looks healthy on the label. It's the one that keeps your brain calm, clear, and alive. Number 2. Whole grain breakfast cereals, the healthy morning habit that silently damages your arteries and brain. If you walk down any grocery aisle in America, you'll see boxes covered in bright colors and bold promises. Heart healthy, made with whole grains, rich in fiber. And for decades, many seniors have started their day with those exact cereals, believing they're doing something good for their heart and brain. But here's the truth: most whole grain breakfast cereals are not what they seem. By the time those grains are processed, flaked, baked, and sugar-coated, there's little left of the nutrition that nature intended. Instead, you're eating refined carbs, added sugars, and synthetic vitamins. A combination that sends your blood sugar soaring and your arteries into stress. Let's look at the science. When you eat refined carbohydrates, they break down quickly into glucose, flooding your bloodstream in minutes. That sudden sugar spike causes a surge of insulin, which your body uses to push the sugar into cells. But over time, especially in older adults, the cells stop responding well. This is called insulin resistance, and it's one of the first steps toward both stroke and cognitive decline. Why? Because when sugar levels stay high, it damages the delicate lining of your blood vessels, especially those in your brain. The walls become inflamed and stiff, reducing blood flow and oxygen delivery to your neurons. You might not feel it right away, but over months and years it shows up as brain fog, poor memory, and even higher stroke risk. I once met a retired accountant named Gerald. Every morning he poured a bowl of whole grain flakes, added skim milk, and thought he was starting his day right. But his morning energy always crashed by 10 a.m., and he often felt lightheaded. When his doctor ran tests, his blood sugar spiked above 160 just 1 hour after breakfast, all from that healthy cereal. When he switched to steel-cut oats with chia seeds and berries, his energy stabilized, his sugar dropped, and, most importantly, his concentration improved. That's the difference between real grains and refined ones, disguised as healthy. Real grains digest slowly, keeping your blood sugar steady and your brain alert. Refined cereals, even the ones labeled whole grain, digest fast, inflame your arteries, and age your brain faster than you realize. If you love a quick breakfast, try this instead. Overnight oats with almond butter and blueberries. Plain Greek yogurt with a sprinkle of walnuts and cinnamon. Or a boiled egg with a slice of avocado toast on whole grain rye. The key is steady energy, not sugar shocks. Because your brain doesn't need another marketing promise. It needs real food that nourishes, not drains, its power. Every morning you replace that colorful cereal box with something natural. You're taking back control of your circulation, your focus, and your future. Number 3. Store-bought smoothies. The sugary health drink that feeds brain inflammation. They look so innocent, don't they? Bright green bottles lined up in the grocery store, labeled detox, immune boost, or made with real fruit. You grab one, thinking you're doing something good for your body. A quick, easy way to get fruits and vegetables in one sip. But behind those cheerful labels, most store-bought smoothies are anything but healthy. Here's the truth. The average bottled smoothie contains 35 to 50 grams of sugar. That's the equivalent of 9 to 12 teaspoons in a single serving. Even when the label says no added sugar, the natural fruit concentrates and purees used in processing are so heavily reduced that they behave just like refined sugar in your body. When that sugar rush hits your bloodstream, your insulin spikes. Your blood vessels, especially the tiny ones feeding your brain, tighten and inflame in response. Over time, those daily spikes lead to oxidative stress, a kind of rusting inside your arteries that weakens their walls and slows blood flow to your brain. And when the brain doesn't get enough oxygen, memory, focus, and balance begin to fade. I once met a 66-year-old man named Thomas. He started every morning with a green smoothie he bought at the grocery store. It had spinach, apple, banana, and mango on the label. He thought it was the healthiest thing he could drink. But after a routine checkup, his doctor found his triglycerides were sky high, his fasting blood sugar elevated, and his blood pressure creeping upward. When he stopped buying bottled smoothies and switched to homemade versions with real greens, half a banana, and no juice base, his numbers improved within a month. His energy came back. His brain fog cleared. He hadn't realized that what he thought was health in a bottle was actually fueling inflammation all along. Here's the science behind it. Your brain depends on steady blood flow and balanced glucose. Too much sugar causes your body to release inflammatory cytokines, which damage brain cells and interfere with communication between neurons. Researchers have found that high sugar intake directly shrinks the hippocampus, the memory center of your brain, and increases the risk of stroke by up to 30% in older adults. The fix is simple and delicious. Make your smoothies at home with whole fruits and vegetables, not juice. Use a handful of spinach, half an avocado, a few frozen berries, and unsweetened almond milk. Add chia or flax seeds for fiber to slow down sugar absorption. And skip the honey or juice base. Your brain doesn't need it. The best smoothie is one that keeps your sugar steady, not spinning out of control. Because when your blood sugar stays calm, your arteries stay calm, and your brain stays clear, sharp, and alive. Number 4. Plant-based milk. The dairy-free trend that quietly inflames your brain and arteries. In recent years, plant-based milk has become the go-to choice for millions of people, especially older adults trying to eat cleaner, reduce cholesterol, or avoid dairy. You walk into any supermarket and the shelves are filled with almond milk, oat milk, soy milk, and even rice milk, all with the same promise: heart-healthy, dairy-free, and natural. But here's the truth. No one tells you. Most commercial plant-based milks are highly processed, filled with additives and industrial oils that can quietly damage your arteries and your brain over time. Let's look closer at what's inside that carton. Many brands add carrageenan, a thickening agent from seaweed, sunflower or canola oil for texture, and gums and stabilizers like gallon gum to make it creamy. These ingredients might sound harmless, but studies have shown they can irritate the gut lining, trigger inflammation, and even promote oxidative stress in blood vessels. And when inflammation becomes chronic, it doesn't just affect digestion, it spreads to your brain. I once met a 70-year-old woman named Ruth. She proudly switched from whole milk to almond milk, thinking it would help her cholesterol. But she began noticing constant bloating, headaches, and brain fog. When her doctor reviewed her diet, the culprit wasn't dairy, it was her healthy almond milk, which contained carrageenan, added sugar, and low magnesium content. When she switched to homemade almond milk, just almonds and water strained, her symptoms disappeared within weeks. Her energy improved, her digestion calmed, and her mind felt clear again. Here's why this matters for your brain. Many commercial plant-based milks are low in healthy fats and essential nutrients like vitamin B, 12, D3, and calcium. Nutrients that protect your neurons and support blood flow. Without them, the brain becomes more vulnerable to oxidative stress and inflammation. And when oils like canola or sunflower are added to mimic creaminess, they overload your system with omega-6 fatty acids, disrupting the delicate balance with omega-3s. That imbalance fuels inflammation in the arteries, a key factor in both stroke and cognitive decline. So, what's the healthy alternative? If you enjoy plant-based milk, make it yourself. It takes just a blender, nuts or oats, and water. Or choose unsweetened, additive-free brands labeled no gums, no carrageenan, and no added oils. Rotate your choices. Try almond milk one week, then coconut or cashew milk the next. Variety helps balance nutrients. And remember, fat isn't your enemy. Inflammation is. Sometimes the foods that sound the cleanest on paper are the ones most stripped of their natural balance. Your brain doesn't need perfection. It needs real, simple nourishment. And when you give it that, without the chemicals, without the hidden oils, you'll feel it. Your mind becomes clearer, your energy steadier, and your mornings lighter. Because plant-based should mean natural, not manufactured. Number 5. Low-fat salad dressings. The hidden chemical mix that starves your brain of healthy fats. For decades, we were told that fat makes you fat. Food companies took that message and ran with it, flooding grocery shelves with low-fat, fat-free, and heart-healthy salad dressings. To many older adults, they became a kitchen staple, the perfect partner for a bowl of greens and vegetables. But what most people don't realize is that those bottles of low-fat goodness are quietly starving your brain and harming your arteries at the same time. Here's why. When you remove fat from a dressing, you remove flavor. And to make up for it, manufacturers add sugar, salt, artificial flavors, and chemical thickeners like xanthan gum, modified starch, and preservatives. These ingredients don't just fake the taste. They change how your body processes food. Fat is essential for absorbing fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K, nutrients that protect your brain and strengthen your blood vessels. Without fat, your body can't use them efficiently. So even if you're eating a big bowl of spinach or kale, most of those nutrients are going straight through you instead of into your bloodstream. And that means your brain is missing the antioxidants it needs to fight inflammation and aging. I once spoke with a 72-year-old woman named Margaret who ate salad every single day. She thought she was doing everything right. Plenty of greens, no fried foods, and always low-fat dressing. But she felt tired, foggy, and her blood pressure stayed stubbornly high. When her nutritionist suggested switching to a simple olive oil and lemon dressing, something amazing happened. Within weeks, her energy returned. Her mind felt sharper, and even her doctor noticed her cholesterol numbers improving. That's because healthy fats, especially monounsaturated fats from olive oil and avocado, help reduce inflammation, improve blood flow, and protect brain cells from oxidative damage. On the other hand, the sugar and refined oils in most low-fat dressings do the opposite. They cause insulin spikes, stiffen arteries, and trigger the very inflammation that leads to stroke and memory decline. So if you want to protect your brain, it's time to bring the right fats back into your meals. Skip the bottled dressings with long ingredient lists. Instead, make your own at home. 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar or lemon juice, a pinch of sea salt, pepper, and mustard powder for flavor. It takes less than a minute to prepare, and it feeds your brain instead of fooling it. The lesson here is simple. Your brain is 60% fat by weight. It doesn't thrive on chemicals. It thrives on real, nourishing fats. So don't fear them, because the right fat doesn't clog your arteries. It keeps your mind clear, your blood flowing, and your memory alive. Number 6. Heart healthy. Margarine and butter substitutes. The trans fat trap that ages your brain and hardens your arteries. For years, margarine was sold as the smarter choice. the heart-healthy alternative to butter. Doctors in the 1980s told millions of people to swap butter for margarine to protect their cholesterol. And many seniors still believe that advice today. They spread it on toast, cook with it, and think they're doing something good for their heart. But what they don't know is that those same healthy spreads may be doing silent harm to their brain and arteries. Here's the truth. Most commercial margarines and butter substitutes are made from refined vegetable oils, like soybean, corn, or canola oil, that are chemically processed to stay solid at room temperature. This process creates trans fats, one of the most dangerous types of fat ever discovered. Trans fats don't just raise your bad LDL cholesterol. They also lower your good HDL cholesterol, the one that keeps your arteries clean. Over time, that imbalance leads to plaques forming along your vessel walls, narrowing the space where blood can flow. In the brain, that means less oxygen, slower thinking, and a much higher risk of stroke and memory decline. I once met a man named Harold, 75 years old, who had been using margarine for decades. He believed it was keeping his heart healthy. He even bragged about never touching butter. But during a checkup, his doctor found heavy plaque buildup in his carotid arteries, the vessels that feed the brain. When Harold switched to real butter and olive oil, his inflammation markers dropped, and he said, "I wish I'd known sooner. I was trying to help my heart, not hurt it." The reason margarine is so misleading is because of its label. Many say cholesterol-free, but that doesn't mean safe. Cholesterol in food isn't nearly as harmful as oxidized fats and artificial hydrogenation, which damage your cells from the inside out. In fact, trans fats are so harmful that they've been banned in the U.S. since 2018. Yet small amounts still appear in processed foods and butter-like spreads under names like partially hydrogenated oils. So what should you do instead? Choose real butter in small amounts, especially grass-fed if possible. Even better, use extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil for cooking in salads. Avoid anything labeled low cholesterol, heart-healthy spread, or hydrogenated. Your brain is made up of delicate lipids, fats that need to stay flexible and oxygen-rich. Trans fats, on the other hand, make those membranes stiff and inflamed. They don't just age your arteries, they age your mind. Because the key to long-term brain health isn't cutting out fat, it's choosing the right kind. The kind nature made, not the kind made in a factory. Number 7. Canned beans and lentils. The convenient protein that raises sodium and inflammation levels in the brain beans and lentils have long been praised as superfoods, rich in fiber, plant protein, and heart-healthy nutrients. And that's true when they're fresh or home-cooked. But when they come from a can, it's a very different story. For many seniors, canned beans have become a kitchen essential, quick, cheap, and easy to add to soups or salads. But what most people don't realize is that 1 cup of canned beans can contain up to 700 milligrams of sodium, nearly 1/3 of the daily limit recommended by the American Heart Association. That's before you even add salt while cooking. When you eat that much sodium at once, your blood retains water to dilute it. That extra fluid increases blood volume, which raises pressure in your arteries, including the fragile ones that feed your brain. Over time, this constant pressure weakens blood vessel walls and makes them more likely to burst or clog, 2 of the main causes of stroke. I once met a 68-year-old woman named Denise who loved making chili for her family. She used canned beans for convenience, 3 or 4 cans per pot, thinking it was a healthy, home-cooked meal. But she couldn't understand why her blood pressure kept rising, even though she never added much salt. When her doctor reviewed her diet, the problem was clear. Her sodium intake from those cans alone was more than double what her body could safely handle. After switching to dried beans soaked overnight and cooked at home, her blood pressure began to drop. and she said she felt clearer. Her energy and focus returned. There's another hidden problem: BPA, a chemical used to line many cans. BPA can leach into food, especially when the can is heated or stored for long periods. Research shows that BPA acts like an endocrine disruptor. It interferes with hormones that control metabolism and brain function, increasing inflammation and oxidative stress. Long-term exposure has been linked to memory decline and vascular stiffness in older adults. But here's the good news. Fixing this is simple. If you use canned beans, choose no salt added or BPA-free brands and rinse them thoroughly under running water for at least 30 seconds. This removes up to 40% of the sodium. Better yet, cook your own beans from scratch. It takes time, but you'll control both salt and texture. Add herbs like garlic, turmeric, or rosemary for flavor and anti-inflammatory benefits instead of reaching for salt. Beans and lentils are meant to heal, not harm. But like so many healthy foods, it's the packaging and processing that turn them into a hidden risk. When you return to their natural form, simple, soaked, and gently cooked, they do what they were meant to do: nourish your heart, feed your brain, and keep your blood flowing freely. Number 8. Energy or protein bars. The healthy snack that spikes blood sugar and starves the brain of real fuel. They sit right by the checkout counter, wrapped in shiny foil with words like protein, energy, and meal replacement. For many older adults, energy bars and protein bars seem like the perfect solution. Something quick, healthy, and easy to eat on the go. They promise strength, convenience, and balance. But in reality, most of them deliver something very different: a sugar spike, a crash, and a wave of inflammation that quietly harms your brain and blood vessels. Let's start with what's inside. Most commercial bars are loaded with refined sugars, syrups, processed oils, and artificial sweeteners. Even those labeled low sugar or keto-friendly often use sugar alcohols like maltitol or sorbitol, which can irritate your gut and raise insulin just the same. Some bars contain more sugar than a donut, up to 25 grams in a single serving, while their protein often comes from cheap isolates that your body struggles to digest. Here's what happens when you eat one. Your blood sugar rises fast, then crashes just as quickly. That roller coaster forces your pancreas to release more insulin, creating a wave of oxidative stress that inflames your arteries. Over time, this process damages the tiny capillaries in your brain, reducing oxygen and slowing down neuron activity. You might feel it as fatigue, irritability, or foggy thinking. But inside, your brain is literally starving for steady fuel. I once met a 65-year-old man named Brian who started eating protein bars every afternoon to fight his low energy. He thought they were a smarter choice than chips or cookies. But after months, he noticed his focus fading and his blood pressure creeping higher. When his doctor checked his labs, his triglycerides were elevated and his blood sugar was unstable. All signs of metabolic inflammation. When he switched to real snacks, a handful of almonds, half an apple, or Greek yogurt with chia seeds, his clarity and energy returned within weeks. That's because your brain doesn't run on quick fixes. It thrives on steady energy, complex carbohydrates, healthy fats, and a real protein from whole foods. If you still enjoy bars for convenience, look for 5 ingredients or fewer. Nuts, seeds, and dates are good signs. No added sugar or syrups. No hydrogenated oils or artificial sweeteners. And never rely on them as a meal. They're meant to fill a gap, not replace nourishment. For true brain power, snack the old-fashioned way. A boiled egg and a few berries, a slice of avocado toast, or a small bowl of oatmeal with cinnamon. Because the secret to long-term brain health isn't found in a wrapper. It's found in real food, grown by the earth, not designed in a factory. And when you feed your brain what it actually needs, it repays you with clarity, memory, and peace of mind that no energy bar can ever promise. Number 9. Vegetable chips or baked chips, the crunchy snack that tricks your brain and damages your arteries. It's easy to believe that vegetable chips are a healthy snack. After all, they're made from beets, carrots, kale, or sweet potatoes. How bad could they be? The packaging shows bright vegetables, earthy tones, and words like baked, air-fried, or made with real veggies. But behind that wholesome image, most vegetable chips are little more than processed starch, refined oil, and salt, disguised as a healthy choice. Here's the truth. Even when they're baked, vegetable chips are often made from vegetable powders or purees, not real sliced produce. They're dehydrated, ground, mixed with oil and starch, then baked at high temperatures that destroy much of their natural nutrients. What's left is a crispy, colorful chip that looks good, but behaves just like a processed snack inside your body. When you eat them, your blood sugar spikes quickly, especially if the main ingredient is potato or root starch. The added refined oils like canola, sunflower, or corn oil are high in omega-6 fatty acids. These fats aren't bad on their own, but when you eat too many without enough omega-3s, they trigger chronic inflammation in your arteries and your brain. And that inflammation is one of the root causes of stroke, memory loss, and cognitive decline. I once met a 74-year-old woman named Diane who switched from regular potato chips to baked veggie chips after her doctor told her to eat healthier. She thought it was a perfect compromise. Less oil, fewer calories. But after a few months, her blood pressure climbed higher, and her joints began to ache more often. When she brought her favorite chips to a nutritionist, they found the first ingredient wasn't vegetables, it was potato starch and sunflower oil. Her so-called healthy snack was still loaded with sodium and inflammatory oils. After switching to real veggies, cucumber slices, roasted chickpeas, and a few almonds for crunch, her energy improved, and her blood pressure finally began to drop. Here's the science. The brain depends on healthy fats and stable blood flow. When you eat snacks filled with oxidized oils and sodium, your arteries stiffen and your blood thickens. That limits oxygen to your neurons, leading to fatigue, brain fog, and increased stroke risk. So what should you do instead? For crunch, try air-popped popcorn, roasted nuts, or baked kale chips made at home with olive oil and sea salt. Or simply cut fresh carrots, celery, or cucumber, nature's real chips. Pair them with hummus or Greek yogurt dip for protein and brain-healthy fats. Remember, the brain can't be fooled by marketing. It knows the difference between processed starch and living nutrients. And the crunch your body truly craves isn't from a bag. It's from real, vibrant foods that keep your blood flowing and your mind sharp. Because baked doesn't always mean better. Sometimes it just means the damage was done in a different way. Number 10. Alcohol and heart-healthy red wine. The daily habit that quietly shrinks your brain and raises stroke. Risk for years, we've all heard it. A glass of red wine a day is good for your heart. It's a phrase that made millions of people feel a little less guilty about pouring a drink with dinner. And yes, red wine does contain resveratrol, an antioxidant that may protect blood vessels and lower cholesterol. But here's the truth most people never hear. When it comes to your brain and stroke risk, even small amounts of alcohol can quietly do more harm than good. I once met a retired nurse named Helen. Every evening she poured herself one glass of red wine, sometimes two. She called it her way to unwind. She ate well, exercised, and believed her nightly glass was part of a balanced lifestyle. But over the years, she began noticing subtle changes, forgetting names, losing her train of thought, and waking up with morning headaches. When her doctor ran a brain scan, they found mild shrinkage in areas linked to memory and balance. It wasn't disease, It was alcohol. Research now shows that no amount of alcohol is completely safe for brain health. Even moderate drinking, 1 glass a day, can reduce the brain's gray matter where memory and decision-making happen. Alcohol also raises blood pressure and triggers oxidative stress inside blood vessels, making arteries stiffer and weaker over time. That combination increases the risk of stroke by up to 40% in older adults, especially when combined with dehydration or certain medications. What's more, alcohol disrupts deep sleep, the time when your brain clears out toxins and regenerates new cells. When that cleaning process is interrupted, waste proteins like beta amyloid can accumulate, increasing the long-term risk of dementia and cognitive decline. So what's the alternative? If you enjoy a glass of wine, limit it to occasional social moments, not a daily ritual. And remember, it's not the wine that protects your heart. It's the polyphenols found in grapes, berries, and olive oil. You can get the same benefits without the alcohol. Try this simple swap: a glass of pomegranate juice or grape juice diluted with sparkling water, rich in antioxidants, no side effects. Or brew a warm cup of hibiscus or green tea, both known to lower blood pressure and improve circulation naturally. If you've been drinking daily for years, it's never too late to cut back. Within weeks of reducing alcohol, studies show blood flow to the brain improves, sleep deepens, and memory becomes sharper. Because the truth is, the calm feeling you're chasing with wine isn't in the glass. It's in your lifestyle. You can find that peace again in movement, music, nature, or a quiet moment shared with someone you love. Your heart may forgive the wine, but your brain won't forget. So let your clarity, not your habit, be the thing you raise a glass to. Every day you stay clear-headed, you protect the most precious part of you, your mind. When most people think about protecting their brain, they imagine crossword puzzles, memory games, or vitamins. But the truth is, real protection starts long before that. It starts with what you eat, what you drink, and what you allow into your body every single day. Every food we talked about today, from flavored yogurts to breakfast cereals, from so-called healthy smoothies to that evening glass of wine, has one thing in common. They all pretend to be good for you. They carry labels like low-fat, plant-based, heart-healthy, or natural. But inside, they hide the very things that accelerate brain aging: sugar, sodium, refined oils, and chemicals that inflame and harden your arteries. Over time, that inflammation doesn't just raise your stroke risk. It changes how your brain feels and functions. It slows your thinking. It dulls your focus. It steals the clarity that makes you feel alive. But here's the good news. Your brain is not fragile. It's resilient. It's capable of healing and growing at any age as long as you give it the right fuel. Every time you swap a processed snack for a handful of nuts, every time you replace a sugary drink with water or green tea, every time you choose olive oil over margarine, you are feeding your brain peace, not inflammation. You are restoring balance to your circulation, oxygen to your neurons, and calm to your body. It's not about perfection. It's about awareness. Because now you know that not every food labeled healthy truly serves your health. And knowledge gives you back control. The power to protect the part of you that matters most, your mind. So as you close this video, take a moment to think about your next meal. Ask yourself, is this food healing me or harming me? That one question can change everything, because it turns eating into an act of self-care, not habit. Your brain deserves real nourishment. Your arteries deserve peace. And your future deserves clarity. Protect your brain, and you protect your memories, the laughter, the voices, the moments that make life worth living. Because a healthy mind isn't just about remembering the past. It's about creating more tomorrows to remember.